in any kind of referendum and secretarial election. We didn't meet that threshold. But next month on October 25th, the TEC, the Tribal Executive Committee, will be meeting in Fond du Lac, and they will be discussing that non-binding referendum, where they're going to go with that. And so we're really asking our members to get involved and to contact your delegates and let them know what you think about that, and let our two representatives, Chairman Fairbanks and Secretary Treasurer LaRocque, know what your thoughts are on that referendum that was passed. We're asking right now for a report on the balloting, because we're interested in knowing how many people voted from White Earth. How many people voted in this referendum, and trying to, our push now, our campaign is to educate people, educate our members on these two questions, where it might be going in the future, how it may impact us, and just follow through on the requirements of the secretarial election. Right now we're the 6 bands, the reservations, we have subcommittees. Enjoy, and that is also one of our delegates. And we sit on the TEC and referendum subcommittee. We have 3 issues that we're going to be bringing up to the TEC in October. And they are, we're going to be requesting that a secretarial election be held in the future. One of the dates that they talked about was in 2024. However, a training that we just went to, they want us to have that, or they recommended that the election be held in a non-election year, because they didn't want any type of politics involved in that. So we're going to be asking for that they put a stay on that for a while, if anything. And then also to address 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 updates of our members. There were a lot of, I think, 7,000 or 8,000 ballots that were mailed out by the Minnesota Chippewa tribe that didn't have current addresses. So that's going to be a campaign for us also, is to get address updated, and that will be done through our White Earth Enrollment Office. So, and we're also going to ask the youth to get that information in there so that we can, include them in that that election going forward. And the last thing that we're going to ask the TEC, the Tribal Executive Committee, is to be mindful of the decisions and the resolutions that they may pass in the future, because we're trying to do this work. We're trying to reform, revise our Constitution. We don't know where it's going yet in that, but especially with the land transfer and the List Act, they should wait on that, and that comes back to the people. Those types of decisions should be ours as members. So that's one thing that they're going to be asking. And then they're also now have suggested the elimination of the Secretary of Interior from our Constitution. That wasn't posed to the members on the referendum, so I don't know where they'll go with that, but that's being discussed out there also. So we just like all our White Earth members to be aware that there's a group out here, and we're trying to work with this, trying to make sure and ensure that our members, our membership goes into the future, that we're not eliminated by blood quantum or whatever. But I don't know what the TEC will, what their decision ultimately will be, but just kind of watch our Facebook page. We do have a Facebook page. It's the White Earth Constitutional Reform Delegate webpage, our Facebook page. And just things that come out through the White Earth News newspaper and stuff like that. We're going to be doing some interviews on Niji Radio, trying to educate people, and we're also listing our phone numbers now so that people can call us with questions and stuff like that. We'll know a lot more after the 25th of October, I think, as to where we're going with this, so we'll keep our members informed and stuff. And if anybody has any questions right now, I hope we can answer you.
Where is the money gonna come from if we have this in a special voting on a non-voting year?
Since it's in our constitution that we, it's considered it will be considered a federal election. So the feds have to pay for that part, that election process.
Your election?
So, once that's changed, if they eliminate the Secretary of Interior out of our constitution or whatever, then we have to bear the cost of that. So, for the meantime, for this to go through, that they have to pay the cost of that. And I think that what they had, said that paid, for just this referendum was like about $60,000 to $65,000, the mailing and stuff like that, so.
Also, what is being done to get the information out of the consequences of changing, getting rid of the blood quantum? Because people should know it's not all pie in the sky.
That's true. That was one of the options. We wanted to give White Earth had proposed that we give more options. There's 2 current resolutions out there right now that the TEC had passed in 2015, which had to do with blood quantum. And that would be, number 1 would be bringing in First Nations blood quantum to combine with ours. And the second one was for any other federally recognized tribes, blood quantum to be included with ours to be a member. So,
The one reason why we can't do the First Nations blood with ours is because in Canada, they don't go by the blood quantum system. So if you're 164th Indian, you're considered Indian. So what do we do?
yeah, I don't know, I mean, I can't answer that. I mean, that's, that will have to be answered, other ways.
And besides it's a different country, then we might be asked to take people from Mexico.
Oh, yeah, I guess I didn't even think of that. That's a good question, but, those 2 resolutions were passed in 2015 and the Tribal Executive Committee has not made a decision as to which way they're going with that. And that has to be decided if they rescind that or reject that, whatever, I don't know, that's their decision and stuff, so that will, but we really want people to get involved in this because we want this to be representative of White Earth. We want White Earth to continue into the future and never, by the blood quantum, we will, we have to do something about that. So it will ultimately be up to the Tribal Executive Committee as to how they vote on that, so.
Some of us think of this blood quantum as a double-edged sword. It not only harms us, but it also protects us, because when you look at the service that we get from IHS, because the federal government allows descendants of descendants of descendants to get treated at IHS, that hurts the enrolled members, as we say, the real Indians. So, we get squeezed out, and our healthcare is bad enough, I think, and we should look at that issue too.
Yes, that was one of the issues that, a lot of the people had brought up was services. How will that affect our services in the future? I mean, that's all something that we all have to, keep in mind and stuff like that. I believe that, if they totally did away with blood quantum and whatever, it would take maybe 5-10 years before that would catch up as to funding levels and stuff like that. So I guess I don't know, you know, we just, but we really need to have people ask questions. And like I said, our numbers are going to be published out there. So if anybody has any really, you know, questions, I mean, no matter what, just ask. We are going to start community Zoom meetings once a month, probably start next month. We're gonna do radio interviews or talk show or whatever you call it there on the radio and stuff. And I'm happy to hear that the elders or bus will be going to the TEC meeting on the 25th or 24th of October so that they can sit in on that meeting when the TEC meets and stuff, and you can voice your opinion. That meeting is open and you have the opportunity to talk. So anybody else got any questions?
Mr. Chairman, I have a question.
I have a lot of concerns with that blood quantum, but I'm not gonna go into it right now. But Patty's gonna come to the elder meeting on Tuesday.
I hope, yeah.
She hopes, because we need to hear and be able to ask those questions of this committee that represents us. We don't do Facebook and all that stuff, so we have to find another means of communication to cover this issue. It's scary for us. Really scary.
Yeah, we're going through some time that we will have to make some decisions. It doesn't have to be done today or tomorrow or next year or anything like that. It's in the future, you know, yet, hopefully. But just know that we are discussing that and stuff. So, you know, with that being said, I'm gonna let Joy and that talk a little bit. She's been with us since 2018, and we have really a good group working on this issue, and it's not easy. It's not easy to come up with solutions and that, but we need ideas and things from our members, you know, to bring forward. One last thing I want to let you know is that, you know, White Earth has the biggest membership under the umbrella of the Minnesota Chippewa tribe. We have upwards to 18,000 members. However, on our delegate group with the other 6 members, we're only allowed 1 vote. And number of members do not come into play at all, which I wasn't for that and stuff. So, but yeah, I think, you know, that they need to keep in mind the work that we're doing and trying to do, and you know, to see this through. So I'm going to let Joy talk to you now.
Patty, I have a quick question for you.
Okay.
At the last TEC meeting, there was I think Fond du Lac was the one reporting for the constitutional delegates. What are the challenges of you guys getting together all as 6 tribes and coming to an agreement on our consensus, what you need to present to the TEC? Because I know, I heard a lot of, what did I hear? I heard a lot of challenges that people aren't getting together. One other tribe is not meeting. They're not doing this because it has to come to the TEC level with everybody's information. Is there challenges through White Earth getting to those meetings and getting everybody together? Is that a challenge? That's my first question.
Okay, no, White Earth has participated. We have one of the requirements when the delegate group was started in 2018 was that it was agreed upon that each reservation would have 10 delegates.
Mm-hmm.
And somehow there is a memo went out where it said that there was up to 10 delegates. That wasn't what people voted on. It was for 10 delegates, and some of the other reservations do not fill that 10 delegates. So, and we have our members, all of our delegate groups sit on different we have a finance subcommittee, we have a TEC subcommittee, we have a referendum subcommittee, we got education, drafting, survey, you know, all different subcommittees. And White Earth participates in every subcommittee. And some of the other reservations do not have delegates participating or do not have the number of delegates that's required. And that's one of the things, Mike, that's a good question, and that should be brought up at the TEC. I can show you how they misinterpreted that decision about the 10 delegates. That was misinterpreted. We need to have 10 delegates from each reservation to, you know, fully do our work and stuff.
Is one of the challenges is because the other tribes don't have the 10 delegates is because it's, in my opinion, would be that is it financial that the other tribes cannot afford to spend that money on their delegates because it comes from general fund money right from their tribes, correct?
I'm not sure how I mean, you know, White Earth has been fully supportive
Exactly.
of our group and stuff like that. I can just speak for ours, and I know like Grand Portage has a small population. I don't know if how many members the Grand.
600.
Yeah, 700 members, you know, so, and, you know, to get 10 people to do this type of work and stuff, you know, it's just, must be kind of challenging for them, so.
And I'm really proud of your delegation. I am, because you give us the information that we request, and I just think we probably should get more updates from you guys and not make it, I mean, even if it was, you know, if quarterly or whatever, we should be getting updates from you guys. If not quarterly, I would think at even more times than that, because it's such an important issue. But, you know, I know at the TEC level, I don't think we're getting all the information. That's my biggest question. That's my biggest challenge, because there's only one set of delegates that are presenting at the TEC, and they're supposed to be presenting based on all 6 tribes. And I don't think that's happening. That's something that needs to be corrected.
Yes, we agree, and that, you know, that's a good talking point that we'll leave it up to you as you sit on the TEC to bring that up, that there needs to be participation from every reservation band, you know, that needs to be fulfilled and stuff. And I'll share some information with you, Mike, on, you know, on that, how they interpreted that number of delegates, so.
Yeah, and I'm not, I wouldn't be asking for all the delegations from 6 tribes all present at TEC, but at least get a consensus to the people that are presenting. Because if you have your committee, if your committee has people that are placed in that place to go come to the TEC to report on all 6 tribes' information, get it done and make sure it gets done, that all that information is relayed to the TEC, because I'll say it again, I don't think we're getting all the information at the TEC level. But I applaud you guys, because you guys are giving us the information at this time, but I think we really need to meet more. I think the delegation needs to meet more with the tribal council.
All right, that sounds good, thank you guys, and we'll surely fulfill that part of our, you know, the commitment for what we saw.
I'm Joanette, and I'm from Pine Point. Just a couple clarifications that Patty had mentioned earlier. With the blood quantum, that has been a big part of our delegation questions on what we need to do. We did host several community meetings, and those who attended we got 20 people who were very concerned about that. It is a big item that will determine how we write or revamp the new constitution. So it's very important that we get that education out. And when we do go into the MCT delegations, we do require a consensus of all 6 reservations. And we get a lot of moaning and groaning about it, but the big items do come to consensus. Even though they say we can't come to consensus, we have in the past, you know, numerous times that we do come to a consensus. The other thing she had mentioned is that we will want to include the youth when we start looking at updating the enrollment and addresses. And we're looking at 15 to 18-year-olds, because when we do have this referendum, possibly 2024, 2025, those 15, 18-year-olds, they will be eligible to vote. So we want them to be informed now, so that when they do come forward in 2 or 3 years, they know what they're going to be voting on. The elimination of the Secretary of Interior, also another big vote that we want to have people coming in, because we need to know what happens. We need legal advice. What happens if we get rid of the Secretary of Interior? What's going to replace it? Are we going to go to a, the three-party type of government? Who's going to oversee our legal? What happens if we don't have the SOI? We need to have those questions. And again, the blood quantum, we need to have a lot of community input, especially from White Earth, on all levels, our elders, our adults, our young people coming forward, because the repercussions of getting rid of the blood quantum, was brought up today. What happens? The delegation, we do not make the determination on who is a real Indian. We do have descendants who are very much full-blooded, but they don't have, our White Earth blood. Does it have to be White Earth blood? Does it have to be Minnesota Chippewa tribe blood? Are we going to count Red Lake? Are we going to count Wisconsin, Michigan? Those are all Anishinaabe tribes. We are one tribe, and that's what we are trying to determine of the blood quantum, regardless of our resources. And determining the blood quantum will determine what type of repercussions, what type of resources, what happens with our resources. It's not just medical, it's housing, it's education, it's our hunting rights, it's our ricing. All of those are resources that we need to consider when we're going to be eliminating blood quantum. But because blood quantum, you can't look and say, oh, well, my arm is Native. My head is Anishinaabe. My left leg is Lakota. We can't look at that. We look what's in our heart. Who is going to be determined to be Anishinaabe? Those are what we need to look at when we're going to be asking about the blood quantum question. So we need our community input. It's so important. Because we as delegates, we're not making the decisions for White Earth. We want our members to make those decisions. We are just here to be your voice. So if you have questions, certainly give us a call. And we are putting our telephone numbers out there. And hopefully I'm not getting 3 o'clock questions. 3 a.m., 2 a.m., I hope not. But our numbers will be out there. Give us a call. Let us know what you think. The boundaries for, whether it's USA, Canada, Mexico, those boundaries didn't exist before the Europeans came. Remember that also when you have questions. So when you have questions, give us a call. Miigwech.
Thank you, Joy. Thank you, delegations, for your report today. I think it's important, when me and Mike go to the TDC, these are questions that are brought to us, and, it seems like they want us to make a decision at that moment in time. And, what I refer to do is that we have to hear from our people. Our membership has to weigh in on some of these bigger decisions, and I think it's important that we have that direct communication between us and our membership, that we make the right choices for White Earth. And I think it's important that, that the work that the delegations is doing for White Earth is very, very important. Getting out information, getting out, the latest stuff that we're talking about, what we're doing I think is most important. And I appreciate your work and your hard work. And, I know that, and I'm bringing up a little history, and when I first came on as chairman, I know that when the delegations were working, they were supposed to start working on Article 1, Article 2, and move through there. But I know the advance warning back then was to stay away from Article 2, but I think that's what everyone dove into, and nothing ever got done. I mean, how long have you been working now? And everything's been just locked up on Article 2, which is membership. And I talked about in the last TEC meeting, it's like, where's the preamble? Where's Article 1? whereas all these other things that we're supposed to look at, I know they talk about secretary elections, which is kind of pertaining to the membership question again, that's what they're trying to fix or look at doing. But it's just, to me, it's like, we're not looking at the whole big picture of the Constitution, and that's why it's called the Constitution Reform. It's not this Article 2 reform, so it's important, and I appreciate all the hard work that our delegation is doing, so big wish you guys.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to ask, I would just make a request that maybe we get some, I guess I would make a request to the delegation that we maybe get some written reports. So when we do go to the TEC, so we know what you guys talked about, so then we can be able to bring that up at the TEC if they don't bring it up. If they don't want to bring it up, the ones that are speaking for the delegate, for the entire delegation, if they're not going to bring it up, we'll have a written report and then we'd be able to ask them and why they didn't bring it up and stuff like that. That's what I would request. Thank you.
They're with us too. Okay, Miigwech, next down we'll move on to the MCT enrollment data request form for numbers. I know Alex is here. Alex, is that you that requesting this data?
Yeah, it was just a matter of getting data on numbers on or around the reservation, simply for purposes of understanding our market.
Mr. Chairman, Matt?
Yes, please.
I did talk a little bit with Alex on the break, and some of the descendant data that you're gonna need to get would probably maybe, I don't know if it would come from enrollments or it would come from DMV, because they have most of the descendant data.
Okay.
I think that's where you'd have to get that from. In enrollments, I see they're here, but I mean, we would have to talk about whether they could release that data or not. And they're not asking for names, you're not asking for numbers, you're just asking for data.
Yeah.
That's all you're asking for.
That's correct.
Good.
Antonio, do we have to do a motion on this?
Probably, I thought he did have something here.
Yeah, since I think it's something to do with our data as whiters and also part of the Minnesota Chippewa tribe, I think that we probably need to do a motion for this and to release this information to one of our companies, Wabigo-Mishkiki, so. Motion. Go ahead.
All right, I think either you or the secretary or Eugene will need to sign this form, this data request form. So
I think we need a motion, don't we?
yeah, you need a motion, so just include that.
Okay, a motion to approve the data request form for Wabigo-Mishkiki. I know that me or Mike will have to sign it, so. A motion to approve this. Motion. Motion by Eugene.
Second.
Second by Henry, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you, Alex. Appreciate you doing. All right, next up. Next up is,
Mr. Chairman, you want to introduce him? Alex? I don't know if anybody knows who he is. Just introduce him quick.
oh, go ahead.
Have him. Alex, would you want to come up and introduce yourself before? We should have had you do that before you spoke, so, because people want to know who you are.
Yeah, my name is Alexander Oxendine. I'm the GM at Wabigoon Mashkiki. So, if you have any questions in regards to that, just let me know. And I hope we're doing a successful job over there for everybody.
Thank you, Alex. He's doing good work over there. All right, next up is the Rice Lake Community Council. I know I talked to Henry about this. I know he's requesting $1,000 for thing, but I think that you talked to Tracy about. You're good?
Yeah.
Okay, we're good with that, so. Next up is the last thing we have before the executive session is the consent agenda. I know that we have some items here that we're gonna be talking about in executive session. So a motion to approve the consent agenda with the items, Lori, Antonio, that would be the ones that are highlighted in the consent agenda we're gonna talk about in the executive.
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, motion to approve the consent agenda without the highlighted areas to do with contracts. I do believe it is. Is that what it is?
Yes.
Okay.
I'll motion, Mr. Chair.
Motion by Annie,
Second.
second by Mike, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries, thank you. Do we have anything else in here? Sarah, are you here for land or anything, or?